Hi everyone and welcome back to a new episode of BWD. Today we're gonna code a guess word game. The program will display questions on the screen, like in this case, where do you live? And the user will write down the answer. Let's say for example that we live in Rome, but if the answer is wrong, like in this case, a new character will be revealed on the screen. For example here, H. On the other hand, when the user types in the right answer, home in this case, the program will congratulate the user and let him know how many points he got. And next, a new question will be displayed. If you are new to this channel or you're back watching this video, do not forget you can find timestamps in the video description below. And all the code that you're gonna see in this episode is available on GitHub, link in the video description below. And now, without further ado, let's get started. Before jumping straight into coding, let's go to the board and make sure that we fully understand how the program is gonna work. As step 1, we're gonna display the question and an underscore for each character in the answer. Next, we're gonna collect the user answer. And step 3, we're gonna check first if the answer is the right one, and second, how many tentatives are left for the user. If the answer is wrong and the user still has some shots, then we're gonna go back to step number 1. However, if that is not the case, we're gonna move ahead with step number 4. Here, we're gonna calculate the number of points gained by the user at this question, and if there are still questions to be asked, we're gonna go back to step number 1. Otherwise, we're gonna move to step number 5, where we're gonna display the total score and exit. And now, let's see a toy example. At step number 1, the user will see the question displayed on the screen, like in this case, where you live. And let's suppose that the user is gonna type in Rome. At step 3, we have to compare the user answer, Rome, with the expected one, home. Of course, they are not equal, but there are still 3 tentatives left for the user. That's because, being the answer of the user wrong, at the next step, we're gonna reveal 1 out of the 4 characters of the expected answer. So if you do the math, there are still 3 characters to be revealed, or in other words, the user has still 3 tentatives to get it right. So back to step number 1, we're gonna display the question again and the new character revealed. And let's suppose that this time the user goes with home. And now, after we have verified at step number 3 that the answer is the right one, we're gonna move ahead with step number 4. And here, we're gonna let the user know how many points he got from this answer. A simple rule for this is to calculate the number of points for each answer as the total number of guesses left for the user. In this case, 3. And next, as there is still some question to be asked, we're gonna go back to step number 1. Finally, when there are no questions left, we're gonna display the total score for the game. And let's say that this time the user got 10 points in total. Alright, hopefully we are on the same page. And now, it's time for coding this. Let's start with step number 1. Here we're gonna display the question. But how can we do this? Well, if we have to display something, we need it first. So let's start by defining the words variable, which is gonna be a dictionary. And for each key value pair, we're gonna have the answer as the key and the question as value. For now, let's keep it simple and go ahead with one question only. So let's save the answer and the question in the expected and the question variable. But of course, we don't want to display the answer, but rather reveal one character at a time. To do that, let's define the indexes variable. Here we're gonna have an index for each character in the expected answer, starting from 0. And doing this is pretty easy. First, we apply the len function over the expected variable. This will return the total number of characters of the answer. Next, as we've done many times in the previous episodes now, we're gonna apply the range function to generate the indexes. However, as we know, range does not return a list, and to do that, we're gonna apply the list to the return value of the range function. Then, let's define the show variable. Here we're gonna save the indexes of the characters that we wanna reveal. But the first time that a question is asked, no character is revealed. That's why show will be an empty list for now. Okay, and now let's run the program in the window below. If we then check the content of the indexes variable, we can see number from 0 up to 3. So now if you wonder why we don't have indexes from 1 to 4 instead, that's because in Python we count from 0. So for example, the first element of any list is always gonna be referred as element 0, and the same applies to strings. The first character is always gonna be character 0. So I hope this is clear, but if not, let me know in the comment section below. And now, let me show you the enumerate function. So what you see on the screen is a for loop. However, here there are 2 cycling variables, I, which is gonna hold the index, and C, which is gonna hold the character. And this works because whenever we do a for loop over a string, we get the characters out of it. However, if we apply the enumerate function to the string, at each iteration we're gonna get also the index of that character. So in the next line, there is a print statement to prove you exactly this. And if we run it, as you can see, for each character we get also its index. Pretty handy, right? But now you may wonder what's the point of all of this? Well, let's go back to the code to find that out. Here, we are finally able to define the toDisplay variable. First, we're gonna add as many underscore as many characters are found in the expected answer. But we won't use a for loop this time, but rather a list comprehension. So what we had just written works, but only when we are displaying the question for the very first time, right? That's because we don't have to reveal any character at all. However, every time the user writes down the wrong answer, we're gonna reveal a new fresh character. To do that, we're gonna check whether the index of the character is found in the show variable. If that is not the case, we're gonna add an underscore. Otherwise, we're gonna add the character itself. And finally, to get a string that we're gonna display, we're gonna define an empty string, call the join method, and pass through it the list comprehension that we just defined. And now let's check whether this works or not. But before doing that, let's not forget to print the question and the toDisplay variable. Okay, great, works. However, it doesn't look really great, right? Everything is really packed. So let's fix this by adding a new empty line and indent to the right the toDisplay variable. Better, right? Back to the code, let's move ahead with step number 2. Here we're gonna collect the user answer using the input function. And then, as step 3, we're gonna check whether that is right or wrong. So let's write down a while cycle. And here the condition is gonna be, as long as the answers variable is different from the expected variable, then we have to go back to step number 1. However, we have to stop when there are no tentatives left for the user. That's why we're gonna write down also a second condition that has to be true, and that is that the toDisplay variable is different from the expected variable. And finally, let's not forget to define the answer and the toDisplay variable before the while cycle itself, otherwise the code is gonna crash. Okay, and now let's give it a try. Let's type in Rome, and here we go back to step number 1. However, as you can see, there are two things to be fixed. The first problem is that the screen is not updated, but rather the question is displayed right below. And the second problem is that we should reveal a character from the answer. To get this done, let's start by importing the US and the random module. To get the screen updated, we're gonna just clear it every time. And to do that, we're gonna use the system function from the US module and pass clear as an input. If you are unfamiliar with it and you wanna know more, just go and check episode number 2 of this series. Then, to reveal a new character every time the user fails to give the right answer, we're gonna use the choice function from the random module over the indexes variable. In this way, we're gonna get the random character via the index. Next, let's add this to the show variable, which is gonna be used when we have to define the toDisplay variable. And then let's drop it from the indexes variable using a list comprehension. Alright, and finally, let's not forget that when we display the question for the very first time, no characters are gonna be revealed. That's why we're gonna write down an if statement checking whether the answer variable is none or not. Alright, and now let's give it a go. Let's give it a try by typing the wrong answer. As you can see, the screen is updated and the M character is displayed. Let's try again by giving the wrong answer, and here we go, the H pops out. And now let's give the right answer. Great, as we can see, no new character is displayed, and that is exactly how it should work. Alright, back to the code, let's move ahead with step number 4. First, we're gonna update the total score. The number of points gained at each question is equal to the number of tentatives left. We can get this by counting the total number of elements left in the indexes variable. And pay attention that this formula is also gonna work when there are no tentatives left. That's because, in that case, also the indexes variable is gonna be empty, and that entails that the len function will return 0. Next, let's check whether the answer is the expected one. If that is the case, we're gonna congrats and display the number of points gained for this question. And to display the number of points within a unique string, we have to add an f before the string itself, and then type the name of the variable that we wish to display between curly brackets. On the other hand, if the answer is wrong and there are no tentatives left, we're gonna just let the user know. Finally, before trying this out, let's not forget to define the score variable and assign it 0 at the very beginning of our program. Okay, let's type in the correct answer right away. And here we go, the right message is displayed and we can see that we got 4 points. Great! And now what's left to do is to make sure that the program doesn't stop to the first question, but instead keep asking when there is any left. To do that, we're gonna cycle over all the questions found in the words variable. And to get both the expected answer and the question, we're gonna apply the items method to the words variable. Next, to make the code more reliable, we're gonna apply the upper method to the expected variable. That's because we have done exactly the same when we have collected the answer from the user. Okay, and now let's give it a go. Let's write down immediately the correct answer to check whether the second question is displayed. And here we go, the code works. However, if you pay close attention, you may see a problem here. The thing is that the next question is correctly displayed. However, we don't know how many points we got for the right answer. As we can see in our code, the problem is the system function. This is executed right after the number of points is displayed. However, it's so fast that we cannot even see the number of points on the screen. Luckily, fixing this is really easy. We have just to use the input function and wait the user to press enter. Let's give it a try. Here we go, this time the number of points is correctly displayed. And now if we press enter, we move ahead to the next question. Alright, and now let's go back to the code to finish this up. First, we're gonna code step number 5. When there is no question left, then we're gonna say that the game is over and we're gonna display the total score. Then let's add the header variable. This will let us know how many points we have done up to the current question. That's why we're gonna display before the question itself. As you can see, when the first question is displayed, the total score is 0. And now that we have moved to the next question, this is updated with the number of points that we have just obtained. And here we go, when the game is over, we're gonna be able to read the total score. Perfect! However, there is one thing left that we have to fix. Let me show you what I mean. As you can see, the first question is displayed. However, this time, let's suppose that the user won't be able to guess the right answer. As you can see, after 4 tentatives, the expected answer is correctly displayed, however the program is still asking for a guess. But that shouldn't happen. So let's sort this out. Every time that we ask for a guess, we have to make sure that there are tentatives left. And to do that, we have simply to check that the indexes variable is not empty. Okay, now let's write down only wrong answers. And here we go, as you can see, the expected answer is revealed, but however this time, we are not asking for an additional guess. Okay, we have finally come to the end of this video. If you have any question or feedback, just write it down in the comment section below. Do not forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel to not miss next week's episode. In the meantime, if you wanna do more, just check the GitHub repo, where you can find the next steps for this exercise. And with that said, see you in the next one. Ciao!